The involvement of the Kremlin dictator does not play a major role in the upcoming talks on settling Russia's war against Ukraine, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland Radoslav Sikorski has said. Regarding potential future contacts between US President Donald Trump and Putin, Sikorski expressed skepticism about holding a premature summit with the Russian Federation.
I don't want him to participate in the negotiations. I want him to get out of Ukraine. He can do it in 5 minutes. If he doesn't, he will face an international court. He has no business on the territory of another UN member state. Only in the continuation of the war he will feel significant. He was confused by the nature of the Russian regime and Putin's control over Russia. Radoslav Sikorski, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland, from a speech at a briefing in Brussels.
Ukraine's participation should remain the main principle of any peace settlement process, Radoslav Sikorski emphasized. Ukraine is ready to move to a diplomatic path. Europe and the USA should not be at the negotiation table. The Ukrainian president said this in an interview with British journalist Piers Morgan. Volodymyr Zelensky stressed the need for stable peace, which will be ensured by strong security guarantees, with efforts already underway in cooperation with the United States.
Ukraine is ready in the first place for the end of the hot stage of the war. We want peace as nobody in the world wants, because let's be honest, Putin is a murderer and is a criminal, and that is a fact. And if people believe that we must move to the diplomatic track, and I believe that we are ready to move to the diplomatic track, and that at the negotiating table there must be the United States, Europe, Ukraine, and Russia.
Meanwhile, 10 EU countries have called for restrictions on a movement of Russian diplomats within the Schengen area in order to undermine their ability to assist the Kremlin's intelligence services. The proposal was initiated by the Czech Republic. This was reported by the Polish media. Additionally, on February 6, President Petr Pavel signed a law that prohibits the granting of Czech citizenship to Russians, even if they renounce their Russian passport. This is stated on the website of the president. The document indicates that obtaining Czech citizenship will be frozen for Russians until the end of the war against Ukraine. An exception will be made only for political refugees and children under the age of 15.
Most Russians will not be able to obtain Czech citizenship, even if they renounce their Russian passports. Their applications for Czech citizenship will be frozen until the war in Ukraine ends. A provision has been added to the Czech criminal code that prohibits unauthorized cooperation with foreign states. From a Deutsche Welle publication,
Prime Minister of the United Kingdom Keir Starmer was urged European leaders to increase economic pressure on Russia, The Guardian has reported. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is confident that this will help to end Russian aggression against Ukraine more quickly. He also pointed out that the threat of sanctions from Donald Trump has left Putin in disarray, according to British journalists. Previously, the US president said he would impose high tariffs and additional restrictions against Russia if the Kremlin dictator does not stop the war against Ukraine. Reported by Alexandra Kristina Dombrovska, UATV News.
The European Union has extended sanctions against Russia for another 6 months after Hungary dropped its objections in exchange for assurances regarding energy security.
So I welcome the ministers today agreed to extend sanctions on Russia. This will continue to deprive Putin of revenues to fund his war.
According to Kaja Kallas, the EU is planning to introduce its next 16th package of sanctions against Russia in February, ahead of the third anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. As reported by Bloomberg, citing a draft document from the European Commission, Brussels is considering a phased ban on importing Russian aluminium. According to Trade Data Monitor from January to November 2024, the 27 EU member states imported nearly 330,000 tons of Russian primary aluminium and alloy.
The sanctions package would allow European buyers to import 275,000 metric tons of the Russian metal under a quota system for 1 year period before a full ban comes into effect. The import volume quotas would be managed by member states and the EU's executive arm, from the Bloomberg publication.
The EU is also considering phasing out Russian liquefied natural gas. However, for now, the 27 member states are discussing a gradual reduction in purchases. According to a Kpler report published on January 28, Russian LNG shipments to the EU reached a record height of 33.6 million tons in 2024. In December 2024, 10 EU countries, including Finland, Poland and the Baltic states, urged the European Commission to impose a full ban on Russian pipeline gas and LNG imports.
Lithuania remains hopeful for the upcoming EU roadmap to completely sever all Russian energy ties. Žygimantas Vaičiūnas, Minister of Energy of Lithuania, in a commentary for Politico.
The EU's 16th sanctions package against Russia includes penalties for 74 oil tankers belonging to Russia's so-called shadow fleet. The document notes that certain exceptions will apply. The package also proposes restrictions on software and other technologies used in the Russian military's weapons systems. The measures target dozens of companies, including many firms in China, Turkey and other countries that have helped Moscow bypass existing sanctions.
We discuss what more can we do, putting pressure on Russia to end this war. It is also good that US President Donald Trump has put the pressure on Russia to say that it's in their hands to end this war.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio welcomed the EU expanded sanctions against Russia. During a phone call with EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Kaja Kallas, he emphasized the importance of strengthening transatlantic security. The EU and the US are always stronger together, the EU head of diplomacy concluded. Reported by Serhiy Kulias, Christina Dombrovska, UATV News.
The Baltic states are fully prepared to disconnect from the joint energy system with Russia, said Latvian President Edgars Rinkēvičs. He emphasized that this is an important step to ensure the country's energy independence.
We cannot rule out some kind of provocation. That is why Latvian and foreign security authorities are on high alert. All our authorities and companies responsible for electricity supply are on high alert. I also understand that this is the most important thing for strengthening our security and independence after the withdrawal from Russian and Belarusian gas and oil. But it is also important that our independence is strengthened in the field of electricity.
Переход к европейской энергетической сети Эстонии, Латвии и Литвы произошел на год раньше, чем планировалось, сообщил.
The transition to the European energy grid for Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania happened a year earlier than planned, said Lithuanian Minister of Energy Žygimantas Vaičiūnas, following a meeting with his colleagues from Latvia and Estonia. This means that for the first time since 1961, the entire region will be disconnected from the energy system linking Russia, Belarus and the Baltic states. Meanwhile, Lithuanian media reported that in recent days, misinformation about possible power outages after disconnecting from the post-Soviet energy system has been circulating on social media in Latvia and Estonia. The Latvian government reassured that emergency protocols are in place in case of any external system failures.
So far, we haven't had any attempts to meddle with the system, no provocations, and therefore we are proceeding according to the plans that have been agreed previously.
After synchronization with Europe, the energy system of the Baltic states will become more stable than ever, emphasized the Lithuanian Minister of Energy.
So this is really a historic project, and it also opens a new chapter for our future because we are connecting with truly trustworthy partners. The purpose is that energy will not be used as a weapon.
Estonia's Minister of Climate, Joko Alender, called his step essential for protecting the region's infrastructure from hybrid threats posed by Russia.
We are indeed on the threshold of an historic step. We are making the synchronization to the European frequency area to make our Baltic energy system fully secure and fully independent from the Russian control. We will control our energy system ourselves.
The energy situation for regional infrastructure remains complex. On January 26, an undersea fiber optic cable connecting Latvia's Ventspils with Sweden's Gotland Island was damaged in the Baltic Sea. Latvia and Sweden are investigating the incident. Reported by Alexandra Zaslavets, Christina Dombrovska, UATV News.